Hello there, and this is not actually a YouTube vlog, but this will be my last YouTube video for the month of January in 2012. Well, it's January 30th today. It's next to the last day of the month, and I wanted to talk to you about something very frivolous, just as kind of a goofy thing at the end of the month. Now, in 1994, I believe, I was told by my mom and dad, well, my mom, actually, I should say, about an opportunity to be an extra in a Stephen King movie. And that movie was The Langoliers. I don't know how many of you out there know about this movie. Well, this is a video response, so you probably all know about this movie. Actually, sorry about that. And I was 14 years old, and there was some money to be earned, a little extra money, no pun intended. It wasn't that much, but you know, it was kind of a first job, you could kind of say, for me. And I didn't know how I could handle it, but we waited in a room for several hours until they called us down into the airport lobby of Bangor International Airport. And we met the stars of the show down there. Patricia Wedig from 30-something, Dean Stockwell from Quantum Leap, you remember him, and Bronson Pinchot, post Perfect Strangers. And he was trying to get out of the bulky role, and he was playing the protagonist of the movie, who was a disturbed, abused man who was kind of disruptive to this whole flight in the film. Now, at the end scene, we did a lot of different takes. They shot a lot of different takes, and there were some great funny stories that occurred during the movie, but I was actually... there was a scene at the end of the film where everybody... in the film, everybody on this plane has been sent into some other time, into the past, and the whole point is that these creatures eat up the past, the Langoliers, and then they go into the future, so the present is catching up to them, and when it does, there are two children and a father, and the girl says, "Look at the new people!" And Patricia Wedig's character is saying, "Is that what we are, the new people?" And you see several people come by. One of them is a dark brown skinned lady, friend of ours actually, comes walking by. And then after that, there's a young man with kind of long curly hair. He's wearing a shirt that has like yellow and multicolored spots on it and kind of orangish pink pants, carrying a knapsack. He has little tear-shaped glasses. That's me. That is me at 14. And then when they're walking out of the plane, out of the airport actually, you can see a little sliver of me going past. My mother was shot for some scenes, but they didn't want to use what they had because the director was a bit of a different man. Actually, he was Australian, I believe. Anyway, I have some funny stories. Now, there's a man, he's kind of a gray-haired guy, and in the end, they're all running up to the airport with the light. And we shot that scene in the terminal, out of the terminal, and there was a guy, he had a gray suit. He played a character named... Rudy Warwick. He just kept eating everything, if you've seen the film. And that man, I was supposed to be walking past him as they ran, and he charged up against me and almost plowed me down. And he was, "Oh, I'm so sorry. He shook my hand. So, I had an encounter with him that was kind of funny. I got knocked down. And I saw Dean Stockwell doing what Dean Stockwell does. He was mentally undressing pretty much everybody with his eyes, which I thought was pretty cute. I had heard stories about his somewhat lascivious nature. And, my mom was kind of a big Dean Stockwell fan, and I think maybe felt a little differently at one time, let's put it that way. So that was kind of awkward and fun and cute to have that meeting, but it brought me to another subject. Over the past week or so, I have been watching a number of new movies, kind of indie films. One of them was a film I saw called The Art of Getting By. I don't know if you've heard of that, and it's actually about a young man who kind of feels that life is futile. And, he is an artist, but he doesn't know what he wants to do with it, and he finds love and all that. And there's another movie with Tom Waits in it called Risk Cutters, a love story, about somebody who commits suicide or attempts suicide, and they end up in this kind of other dimension, purgatory, in this case kind of a, ghetto that doesn't look very good, and then they end up coming back around and realizing life is worthwhile. And another movie I saw called Main Street, which is about a small southern town that a big company wants to use the old closed tobacco plant in to store toxic waste, and how complacent they are, but they also want to keep the town safe. And Colin Firth plays the caught-in-the-middle protagonist. Now, all these films had excellent plots, excellent points to them, but I noticed that they had they lacked a certain spark to them. I mean, people say that Stanley Kubrick's films, like 2001 and A Clockwork Orange, move slowly and so on and so forth. But he always has these, kind of dramatic wide shots that he will use, and use music and sometimes slow motion to create visual drama, even if there isn't a lot of dialogue. And I noticed in these films there wasn't a lot of that, and sometimes there was even the blue filter effect on the whole film, which I feel is a bit of a cliche, actually. And this has been going on in film for the last 20 years. I have become very selective about film. I'm very open-minded about music now, a lot more than I was 5 years ago. But film I still got some questions about. Now, The Langoliers, in a lot of ways, seems like it may be a B-level kind of thing. It seems like it's not really that professional. The actors in it are actually good, but it seems like it's a TV movie, definitely of its time. But even if some of the acting is a little awkward and some of the writing is a little bit sketchy or whatever, special effects are decent, and it has a spark. Even the worst acting in it has a spark. And I can tolerate bad acting, silliness, goofiness, poor scripting, all of it, as long as it has a spark. A spark. You can make the best movie in the world, and if it has no emotional spark, if it's just flat, it's hard to involve you into the story. And that basically is what I learned in my experience with Stephen King and The Langoliers. Thank you.